Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 5 of Can You Survive the Hunter's Moon? I am standing right in front of our final 6 players who are looking forward to an action packed day as all of them fight to make it to that final tribal council. We are going to go ahead and check in with our final 6 here. We have Dave, Taylor,
Hi.
Culp,
Made it.
Melissa, Jazzy, and Brian.
Seems correct.
We are on the challenge field with host Alan, who's about to tell the players what they're doing next.
Good morning, final 6. Congratulations on making it to the last day of this game. We are about to get ready for the immunity challenge where one more person will be safe and will be guaranteed their spot in the final 5. First things first, Melissa, I will take back the necklace. Thank you. Once again, immunity is back up for grabs. This challenge is called Instant Insanity. Now, for this challenge, you will start tied to a beam. You will need to untie yourself, then untangle the rest of the rope from the beam while you're attached to it. Oh, sorry. Untangle the rest of the rope from the beam. You will then use the bean bags that are on that table to knock down your pyramid of blocks. Once the blocks are knocked over, you will use 4 of the blocks to solve the instant insanity puzzle. The first to solve the puzzle wins immunity.
Big reactions from the players there as they realize exactly what this challenge entails.
Quick, let's get the answers.
Does anyone have any questions? I know that was a quick explanation. We're going to go over all the rules and regulations one more time and how we're tied up, how we untie, how we get the bean bags and all that stuff. We will answer all those questions. Okay. Let's start with the tying part. Let's come over here.
Say it again. Say it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We start tied up.
Step in. We can make it tighter. Yeah, we can adjust.
All right, players now stepping up to draw for spots in this challenge.
You have successfully untied.
Once the black rope is out, you can
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, so it's just our one leg?
you'll be
Oh, our
Yeah.
body. Okay.
and we can
TV man.
adjust some of them.
Thanks, Brian.
So if you want it tighter,
it'll
whatever you
come apart naturally.
So then
Okay.
we take the green
Yeah,
one. but you'll have
and
to
then you'll just pull it out.
Correct.
and then you'll go get the bean bags, knock all your blocks down, get the 4 blocks that are painted on all sides, and then do instant insanity.
Not all of
There are 4 blocks that have different colors on them. Those
All right,
are the
so let's
4
step away momentarily to take a look at this challenge. Players are going to have to untie themselves from that beam before running over, knocking over all these blocks off of their pyramid, and then they will have a puzzle to solve called Instant Insanity. And what that is that all of these blocks are painted different colors, and they will have to make sure that like all of the sides are different colors. It's a whole thing.
And you will be completing the puzzle. Behind the table, there are 6 wooden squares. That's where you'll be setting the puzzle up. Yeah, we're having it running.
Hello, thank you, Evan Vanna. All right, so this is a 3-part challenge. We have untying from a beam, then we have knocking over these blocks off this pyramid, and then they will take 6 of these blocks that are painted and stack them over here on this board, forming one tower that has no repeat color on every
You'll
side.
be building your puzzle on those blocks back there. Yep. And you can see that there are blocks with completely different colors on them. Those are the 4 you will be using. Correct.
I think I'll be at the bean bag.
Everybody getting set and ready on this very gray morning here in Holton, Maine.
I also want to clarify for the puzzle. This obviously is not being but for the puzzle, the blocks, they're not perfect like squares, cubes.
Close enough.
So they could be stacked like this when you're doing the puzzle. Like it's not necessarily gonna all be like.
Correct. It's just color.
Assume they're cubes.
Just assume it's cute. They're just colored cute.
Exactly. And then we're gonna draw for spots, but this time, if you draw one, you'll pick your spot. If you draw two, you'll pick second. So on and so forth.
All right, and we have Jazzy, Taylor,
They're off the table.
Melissa,
It counts for them.
Counts. Yep.
And the blocks
Brian,
off the table.
They have to be all off the table. Correct.
There's 3 bean bags.
Dave, and Cole.
No way.
All right, go ahead and look at your number.
Taylor with one again.
Taylor with her favorite tile.
I know, it's a sign.
All right, which station would you like?
I like yellow. It's my favorite color.
Jazzy
I'm gonna go red.
on the outside.
Yeah, so why don't you...
Green.
All right, go ahead and stand there. 4.
I'm gonna need mine bigger. I might need to take note what size is getting it.
The first one or second one?
All right, so our players are now getting into position for the first part of this challenge.
Melissa, it's you and me, Diva.
All right, Taylor is set and ready in front of those yellow cubes.
Hi Nick, if you're watching. But let's see this one. Oh, I gotta turn my shoe.
We've got Culp in front of green, Dave in front of blue, Brian in front of orange, and Melissa in front of gray? Cream. Grayish, if you will. And Jazzy on red.
Red is my favorite color.
Ooh. I love it.
I'm in my red era.
Okay.
Brian, was you guys good? Any questions? Perfect. All right. Looks like we have everybody in position. Untying the rope, escaping from the beam, knocking all your blocks over, completing the instant insanity puzzle. We're just waiting a few more minutes.
For those of you joining us, we are at the very start of day 5 here at Can You Survive. I just looked down and saw a leaf that I thought was a mouse and got scared, but it was a false alarm, so don't worry. And here we have our final 6 players that are getting set and ready to compete in the first individual immunity challenge of the morning. They have spent 4 nights out here. They want to make it to the end, everyone wanting a spot in the final 5. So this is a very important challenge, as they all will be from here on out.
This is for a spot in the final 5. You do not want to be the first person voted out this morning after the last 4 nights. Survivors ready? Go!
All right, and this challenge is on. Dave whipping through these
Dave
knots.
whipping through those knots. Taylor
Culp
going through the
quietly
knots.
concentrated.
Melissa going through the knots.
Jazzy
Culp
beasting
moving
those
forward
knots
through those
over
knots.
there. Taylor half untying, then the rest of untying. Melissa looking calm
Dave
with some
using
rope
that
management.
to his advantage.
Brian using that long wingspan to get
Melissa
that
getting
rope
through those
out of the
knots.
way.
Brian getting through those knots. Culp still getting through those knots. Jazzy moving quickly. Dave still flying through these knots. Culp using his rope in his left hand to make sure he doesn't get it caught.
Looks like Taylor's made it quite a bit of the way through.
Melissa's got probably 7 more knots left.
Dave as well. Melissa's knot stack looking short.
All players still untying. Who will get to the bean bags first?
Players quietly concentrating. It is chilly morning. Their fingers are probably a little bit numb, having to use them to untie themselves from this beam.
Thank you.
Who will be the first to release themselves from this beam?
1/4 of the way to go.
Everyone looking concentrated. Everyone looking calm.
Brian untying
Even if they don't feel that way.
that are in his rope further
Dave
down. Taylor getting through.
with a few more knots to go.
Jazzy making some headway.
Culp
She could be the first one out
also with very few to go.
Culp.
This is a tight race. Brian now with maybe just a couple more.
There are a lot of knots in these ropes. Melissa getting through. 2 more knots for Melissa. Taylor almost through. Taylor has undone her knot.
Taylor's got it. And she is racing out to her favorite color, yellow, for some bean bags, and she is winding up to throw at those cubes.
Almost gets red. Third throw hits the table. Still anybody's game. Everyone's working on those knots. Dave is almost
Melissa
through.
has released herself. Brian and Dave taking off at the same time.
Culp and Jazzy still working on the knots.
All players now have to throw these bean bags to knock all of their blocks off of this table. Culp and Jazzy still working on those knots over there.
Taylor with a good throw. Taylor helping out Jazzy.
Just grab it.
Culp just misses left. Culp misses left again.
All right, and Jazzy looking like she's releasing as well. All players have now moved on to this throwing portion of the challenge.
On these blocks. Culp with a hit in corner. Culp barely misses again. Jazzy throwing underhand. Watch out, Melissa. You're in the firing squad.
All right, I think it's safe to run.
Dave with a big hit. Dave with another big hit. Culp knocks a few over. Everyone working on knocking their blocks off the table. Brian trying to get his blocks over. Brian just over the top. Taylor trying underhand. Culp has 4 blocks, 5 blocks on the table. Dave has 5 blocks on the table. Jump rope. Brian still trying to make contact. Melissa hooks it on the hook on the table.
Ooh, Culp knocks all his blocks down, but they must be off of the table in order for them to move on to the next portion of this challenge.
Instant insanity puzzle. Find the line. Everyone trying to knock off Culp. 1 more block. Dave is right there. Dave knocks off a block.
It's now down to Dave and Culp, who have 1 block each as the rain starts coming down here in Holton, Maine.
Culp again short. Culp, Dave, 1 block on their table. With a big hit from Taylor, she's got 2 blocks. Jazzy hits the target, but none of the blocks fall. We have Dave knocking all of his blocks, moving on to the instant insanity puzzle. Needs to find the 4 that have colors on the side.
Dave now searching through his blocks for the ones that he will use to solve this puzzle. He has a little collection in his arms. Brian slides on this now wet and slicky grass. Taylor steps up now. So we have Dave and Taylor working on this puzzle. Culp down to 1 block left on the table. Jazzy with 5. All right, and we are now covered from the rain so that this phone does not cut out.
Culp knocks it off, moving on to incident sanity.
All right, and Culp grabs his final cube off the table. Now looking for his cubes. As you can see here, as Taylor and Dave work on this puzzle, they have cubes with all these different colors, and they are looking for one tower where no color repeats on any side. Taylor, Culp, and Dave working on that. Jazzy, Brian, and Melissa still working on the second portion of this challenge, looking to unlock the cubes. Brian with a big throw and 2 knocked off.
Can she make it here to give herself a shot? Brian's got 2 blocks on the table. Melissa still with 6. Melissa short. Brian just misses over the top.
Long.
Culp has 4 levels to his tower. But is it right?
Taylor stacking, turning around to examine and readjust as she goes here.
Jazzy, Brian,
Culp
Melissa
now
working on knocking off their blocks.
working on his puzzle the other
Jazzy
way.
just misses.
The rain is coming down. Oh, is it only 4 pieces?
Yep.
Oh, cool. All right. Correction, these players have 4 blocks that they must do, not 6.
Jazzy, Melissa still working.
Brian now out here with
Brian
their
worked on the puzzle.
cubes.
The rain picking up on these survivors right now.
Jazzy with 2 or 3 left.
Knowing
Melissa
that
with the
one of them
same.
will be voted out after this challenge.
Players stacking, unstacking, turning, flipping, switching.
Jazzy, Melissa still trying to get to the puzzle, give themselves a shot.
This puzzle is hard because when you think you have it, you might spin that tower around and find that you do not.
It's not an easy puzzle to do. When you think you've got it,
Culp rotating, flipping that block on the very top, trying to figure out what he needs to do to solve this. These players now sitting hunched over their puzzles in the rain.
Melissa now helping Jazzy knock off their block. 2 people working on 3 blocks. Melissa giving Jazzy a hand, trying to give her a shot at the puzzle. Jazzy knocks it off, almost knocks it off.
Melissa hits the table with the block. Seems very excited about that.
Brian putting pieces, trying to figure out how this puzzle works. Both Melissa and Jazzy trying to knock off Jazzy's blocks off of the table.
Getting all around those blocks,
Jazzy
but no
nicks
dice.
the cube, does not fall off. We have Brian, Dave, Culp, Taylor.
Brian has a stack of 3, working on the 4th layer. Dave has a stack of 2,
Melissa
rotating
going
one
back
piece
to hers.
every which way around.
Knocks 2 off, it's 1 straw. Melissa's got 1 left. Jazzy's got 3.
Culp with all 4. Just rotating around here. Taylor with a stack of 3. And moving that top cube every which way.
Melissa, Jazzy, do not give up. This puzzle is hard. You know this is an equalizer. This is still anybody's challenge. Dave rearranging pieces. Culp looking at his stack, figuring out what to change. Taylor moving pieces around.
And Melissa gets her
knocks
last
off her
block.
final block. She is moving on to instant insanity. We have Jazzy with 2 blocks left. 4 blocks.
Melissa now picks up her blocks and sets down to start the insanity puzzle here.
All players working on this puzzle. Jazzy trying to knock off these blocks just to give herself a shot. Takes a deep breath. Check, please.
Dave calls for a check.
Blue, black, purple, green, green, purple, blue, black, green, blue, black, purple, purple, black, green, blue. Dave wins individual immunity.
Congratulations to Dave.
Wow. That was nothing. Oh my god.
Hugs all around. That was quite the challenge. Players heaving with the effort.
Dave, congratulations. You have earned
George saying, I just screamed in a diner.
not be voted out at the tribal council.
Amazing.
For the rest of you, one of you will be voted out at this tribal council and will be the 5th member of the jury. Please take your time, strategize, and we'll call you for tribal momentarily. Dave, once again, congratulations.
Good job, Dave.
All right, claps all around for Dave. Congratulations. This game has had a lot of different individual immunity challenge winners, and that challenge was no exception. All right, y'all. We will be coming back to you live at 10 a.m. Again, that's 10 a.m. for the first tribal council of day 5. See you a little bit later on. Keep it locked here on your Saturday, and I am excited to bring you the eventual exciting conclusion of Can You Survive? The Hunter's Moon.